Alrighty. So good evening and welcome. My name is Christina Sword. Some of you know me, some of you don't. But I would like to welcome you to this info session about a breakthrough in cellular health that I'm really excited about. You might be here because you're looking for some kind of a health breakthrough. You might be living daily with pain, discomfort, or I know for some people they're living with a condition that is a threat to their lives. Or you might be in perfectly good health and you're simply here because you want to take a proactive approach in maintaining good health. Or you might be somebody who is a practitioner or business person looking to maybe partake in the distribution of this cellular health breakthrough. Either way, we're going to be going through the explanation of what this is and why it has the potential to really drastically transform someone's health. And I know that there is, my traditional company is in marketing, so I know what it is to create a lot of hype around a product. But I really looked into the research, step beyond that, into the direction that medicine is heading, which this activates your body to heal itself. So this particular scientific field is called Redox science, and it is quickly revolutionizing the way we approach disease prevention, anti-aging, longevity, sports performance, endurance and beauty. So I'm going to mute everybody there, and now I'm going to jump into and do the slide share. So to make sure that you can follow me, and I'm going to disable the attendee annotation. Okay, great. So this is the name of the company that brings this cellular health breakthrough to us. Let me just tell you about them a little bit. This product has had over 17 years of research put into it behind it, as well as a whole lot of independent, rigorous testing and validation. So as I cover some of the claims that I'll talk to you about tonight, you'll also be able to access the information of why I'm able to make those claims with confidence. The area that we'll be talking about is the product we'll be talking about is a product called ASEA Redox. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a cell signaling supplement. And it is the very first one that is on the market. And it is 10 to 15 years ahead of its time. It is heavily patented and unique. It is a new category creator. Now that's really able to stabilize and put inside this bottle were declared impossible by the medical field to create, which is the reason why what's been achieved here a few years ago is being considered as the single greatest health science breakthrough of our lifetime. Now I'm smiling because I remember the first time I did hear that statement, and for me, I was kind of like, oh gosh, you know, I'm in marketing. That's a really bold statement. But as I said, a year on into the research, I really feel that that statement is accurate and backed by facts. So let me just tell you a little bit why I arrived, why this Redox science arrived at my doorstep. And it wasn't because I was looking for it. It was really to help a friend. So this is my friend, Danny Doyle. He's actually a really good friend of my ex-husband, Malcolm. And Danny found himself diagnosed by a terminal condition in 2014. And it had to do with his blood. And basically he tried every traditional treatment that he could, even treatment that made his hair fall out and put his immune system into a lot of danger. And he was at a point where he was really running out of time when he received a phone call from a friend of ours called Bart Cotter in America saying, there's something here that you should have a look at. Now, I'm going to go into the detail later of what happened with Danny, but suffice to say that within 3 hours, he had commenced a radical detox. Within 5 months, all his markers had changed around, and within 1 year, he was declared free of a condition that is deemed incurable. Right now, nothing surprises me. That then started, that I guess got my curiosity. When you see something like that happen, it really does open your eyes. My dad had a cardiovascular situation last year, and by that stage I was getting really excited around the transformations I was seeing around me with these redox molecules. So my dad started on 12 different medications. He was on 12 different tablets for his blood, for his cholesterol, for his pain. Honestly, he was on a cocktail, 12 tablets daily. My dad is down to 1 tablet today, and it's aspirin. And from his own doctor, the words were, "Your body has changed, Alberto. What have you done?" I am now in communication with 3 of the different doctors that have treated him. They are looking at incorporating redox science into their traditional treatments because there's been such a radical change. Max, my son, I feature because he had a skin condition that is really common around children, and it causes them to flare up and itch. And for him, I hadn't really clued on why, but he was wearing long sleeves and long pants to school in the height of summer. And for him, that was really about being ashamed of his arms and legs. And that was about a year ago. And we administered the molecules in the topical application. And 3 weeks later, he had no more sign of that condition, and he hasn't had it back. So I share a little bit about that because that's the picture around my family and my friends. That's my personal story and why I started going and asking this question: what the heck is redox science? I really do want to know about it. I came from a scientific background. I studied physio at university. I was going to go into medicine, but decided to have 4 kids instead. So I really wanted to look at this. And I think the first thing that surprised me is that even though I hadn't heard of redox signaling molecules, it was a very popular and very active field of medicine. So there are now over 16,000 studies on redox signaling in peer-reviewed scientific and medical journals. What that tells us is this has been a very prolific frontier of medicine. There's books written on it, and there's been a whole lot of research happening in this field. Just because it hasn't filtered down to us at the patient level doesn't mean that this hasn't been where a lot of the direction for our future treatments has been focused. This is Dr. James Watson, who discovered the DNA double helix. So he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Medicine for that. He then went on to dedicate the rest of his work and continues to work on redox signaling molecules. He was a gentleman who identified what they were. Previous to his work, they thought that it was a byproduct of the production of energy at the cellular level. But thanks to his work, he has published hypotheses that it is redox regulation that is behind a neurodegenerative diseases. So we're talking about some key conditions. I'll have a look at those in a minute. But that is a very big statement from him, and it's not just from him. This came to us from our French team, and this is from the Louis Pasteur Institute of Research. Once again, basically pointing out that that disruption of redox homeostasis can lead to aberrant cell signaling and many of these diseases like cancers. If you go digging, if you are scientifically minded, I know I'm kind of going through this quickly because I know it's not for everybody, but I do want to point out that redox signaling molecules aren't a buzzword that somebody came up with last week. This has been a very busy field. And here is one report. It came, one such study, if you go looking in PubMed, where you can read a lot of peer-reviewed articles and some are in many of the journals. This one lists off diseases like cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, atherosclerosis. You can have a scan through that list there. Many of these conditions are conditions that a doctor would tell you can't be cured. I've now seen redox tackle these in a way that, you know, is absolutely just gobsmacking. I've seen people show regression on conditions that that nobody can explain, but the science behind this does explain it. And what these studies are pointing at is that, well, this extract here from one of the conclusions is that many major human disorders are more likely to be dependent in one way or another on redox regulations. And chances are that from this group of substances, next generation therapeutics will be developed in the coming years. So I actually came across another article from 2010 that said, basically summarized what redox molecules do in the body, and I'll explain exactly what they are in a second. And the conclusion of the article in 2010 was, if only somebody could find a way to make these molecules outside the body, and that we could supplement in those levels to lift our levels of these vital molecules, we would have an absolute game changer in the field of medicine. And that's exactly what has happened. The media is starting to catch on. I do think you'll see this a lot more coming on, but in the years to come. But here's an article from the Huffington Post that's flagging redox signaling technology as one of the sciences that will shape our lives in the coming years. So I guess I kind of like to put this background into the picture, because for me it was shocking. I hadn't heard of it, so I just thought someone had made it up. But it was a very active field, and that gave me a lot of comfort because there was a lot of science behind this. So to understand what is a redox molecule, because I want to tell you what this can do in your body. Whatever condition you've got going on, there is a reason why this molecule can be a really direct answer to repair any condition you've got in your body. And I'll explain to you why, but we must first understand what it's not. So when I mention redox molecules to new patients, usually they start to compare it and they say, oh yeah, I've got a juice in my cupboard, or someone's given me a vitamin or a mineral. And I'd like to say that all these things are great, but redox molecules falls outside these categories. All these things are awesome tools that the body uses and needs. However, redox stands in a category of its own, and they are the workforce that use those tools and put them to work in your body. Now, what happens is that it doesn't really matter if you've got a whole lot of materials outside your front door to build your new house extension, unless somebody shows up to put those materials where they need to go and to put the construction together, you're not going to have an extension to your house. Similarly, when there is a dysfunction in the body, you need the tools, you need these key things, you need the nutrition, but you also need the workforce. So exactly what are these redox signaling molecules? Okay, they're made from salt and water because that's the tool that our body has to use. They're made inside the cell, and the cell is effectively a little bag of salt water, and there's a lot, of course, more going on inside there. As part of the production of ATP, which is the energy that we use, redox signaling molecules are produced, and they are two different forms. They are reductants and oxidants, hence the name. The reductants are the ones that carry the messages to activate antioxidants. They help protect your cells. So you've probably heard of the word antioxidant, and there was a time where everybody really understood that we needed to take and supplement in antioxidants. Well, redox signaling molecules activate those antioxidants, and it's been shown that taking the ASEA supplement daily raises your levels of glutathione, which is the master antioxidant, by up to between 500 and 800%. That alone is huge. Like, I could stop the presentation there, and that should like put your body into an incredible state of repair to have such a high level of antioxidant activation in your body. The second part is the oxidants, and they enable proper cell communication. So this is what allows optimal performance of your immune system and protecting against foreign particles, bacteria, viruses, and infection. So it may come as a shock, but all of us at some stage or another are carrying around cancerous cells. So those are cells that are broken or mutated, and it's our body's job to go around and tag those cells and go destroy, replace, repair. That molecule that does that tagging, that does a very important job of recognizing where something's broken, is the redox signaling molecule. Now, unfortunately, this is what happens when we're young, when we're babies. You see a baby, they heal so quickly, and now their levels of redox signaling molecules are very high. But every decade we decrease. Our body uses up, and our levels of production of redox signaling molecules decreases. And however, in this world that we live in today, which is basically a toxic storm because of all the rubbish we eat and all the things we touch and the things we inhale and everything that we put in our bodies, this big toxic storm that we live in, our redox signaling molecules, our little workforce, if you can imagine them that way, are being put to use, and they are just being used up, and our deficiencies in imbalance are a result of that, because our redox signaling molecule levels simply can't keep up with what we do to our bodies, and we're losing our abilities to defend ourselves against diseases. And so things that should be picked up get through and develop, and then you've got a domino effect. Once you've got something, it'll start to affect other parts of your system, and then you're going to end up always on catch up, and you'll end up with a big shelf full of medications as you try and patch up symptoms, and it's literally like the Titanic's got 100 holes in it and you're trying to just plug it up with a little bit of putty. So that's never going to fix it. the ASEA Redox Breakthrough is something that has been able to tackle what is happening to our bodies in the toxic storm that we live in. And as I said in this report, in this study in 2010, where the conclusion was our levels of redox signaling molecules are dropping. It's allowing diseases to come up that come about that we didn't have 100 years ago. If only somebody could make these little molecules, put them in a bottle, and we were able to top up our levels, it would be an absolute breakthrough. And that's exactly what's happened. So after extensive research, lab testing, and millions of dollars, a team of scientists achieved the impossible. And I say the impossible because a redox signaling molecule lives for like a millionth of a second. It's like trying to catch a spark and put it in a bottle. But that's what they've been able to do. They stabilize them in a bioactive form outside the body, exactly like they are in your body, in perfect balance, just as they're found in healthy cells. What that means is that you can get your body activated in a way so it heals itself, in a way that cannot possibly be toxic to you because this molecule is already native and in your body. I just want to spend literally 1 minute going through how this happens. It starts off as pristine salt water. It's a heavily patented product. There's a lot of patents around this. The salt water is broken down into free-floating atoms, and then it is reconstructed into stabilized redox signaling molecules. So whilst the bottle itself says saline water, what you've actually got in there is reconstituted redox signaling molecules, and each bottle comes with a seal which is independently tested to show that that is exactly what is in that bottle. But you'll get some questions like, is it just salt water? Well, no. And if you really want to know and see that for yourself, pour some salt water on a plant and pour some ASEA redox signaling molecules on another plant, and you'll see a difference in how that goes down. So why this is exciting is because current medicine, as I said, it's all about symptoms and it's all experimental. We're basically throwing darts in the dark at a dartboard, hoping that we hit somehow the right thing that might make us feel a little bit better. And the problem with that is that a lot of diseases and conditions, we don't really understand them. And how can we tackle them if we don't really understand them? But what we do know is that redox signaling molecules regulate every major system of the body at the very core cellular level. So it means that we can commence repair from the inside out. Why it's exciting, I keep saying this, is because currently we can only treat symptoms. So like my son Max, we were putting things on his skin and all it was doing was patching up something that was actually going on inside and showing up on the outside. When we started using the redox signaling molecules on him, it went down through to the cause of the issue. It rebalanced whatever the cell was producing too much of or not enough of, or whatever was behind it. It rebalanced that, and now he has no more symptoms. So the products come in two forms. It comes from the inside out treatment, which is a drink. So you drink that and it starts to work internally on your systems. And then there's a couple of different topical versions to work from your skin from the outside in. For me, as I said, I come with a lot of questions. Whatever questions you've got, I really love people with questions because it tells me that they're really processing this carefully. And if you are interested in your own health, I do hope that you investigate this heavily. For me, I really thought, I have 4 boys. I feel like the health of my family and my own health has never been the responsibility of my doctor, the government, or anybody. I'm not waiting for somebody to bring me a solution here. I understand that it is for me to go out and take charge of my own health. So when I saw the information behind redox signaling molecules, I got super excited because I thought, wow, this really has the potential to naturally keep my family safe and healthy. What I really wanted to know, however, was have they really put redox signaling molecules into these bottles? Because that would be an absolute feat if they had. I didn't have any questions about what redox could do in my body. That's pretty well documented. You can't argue with 16,000 different scientific papers. But what you could question is, well, have they really put redox in this bottle? And that is why every batch is certified by this company called Bioagilytics. And these guys oversee These guys oversee they do all the in-house testing for 21 of the 25 top global pharmaceutical and biotech companies. So they're independent, they come in, and if you say you've got vitamin C in your bottle, they're going to test it and make sure it does before you're able to market it. So these guys have put a Redox certification on every bottle that says what is in this bottle are trillions and trillions of redox signaling molecules. And talking to people keep asking me, well, what is the composition? What is the drug percentage? It's like nothing. It is just trillions of redox signaling molecules in that bottle. So as I said, if you're looking for more scientific validation, there is tons of it. There's a website dedicated just as a warehouse of all the certifications, the research studies, the safety studies. You can have a look at who's at the medical board and who is, and you can download all those validations. And I do encourage you to go have a look at that website. It is, if anything, for me, it's very exciting to look at what's been able to be, there's a lot of anecdotes around this product, but there's also a lot of stuff that's documented that you really can't sort of, it's not anecdotal. It is all documented as fact. Of all those studies, there's one that I really want to talk to you about for a few minutes because I think this was an absolute game changer. So as I said, I was working with lots of different people for about a year and just kind of offering it to people that I could see needed some help. They had a condition, couldn't get on top of something, their child had something. And I just kind of kept saying, look, I don't understand this fully, but I really see people getting well, so why don't you try it? I am yet to find somebody that this has not had a positive effect on. Somebody, if somebody has stayed on this for a good amount of time, and I'm talking about 6 weeks minimum, taking this regularly, I have not seen somebody who has not reported a really positive change. And this study tells us why. So this is an initial gene study that was conducted by Torrey Laboratories. They are a leading genetic research facility in the US. And they advance medical research through leading edge genomic services, and they're spearheading breakthroughs in multiple industries. Their work is super exciting. Now, firstly, I just wanted to spend 1 minute on what is a gene. I'm not going to delve in too deeply, but this will give us the backdrop to why their findings, what they found in this result is just crazy exciting. So a gene, I thought that our genes were kind of fixed. I thought, well, my genes are what they are and I was born with them and they're going to stay the same. But the genes are housed inside the nucleus of each cell. It's like the cellular brain. It tells the cell what to do. So each little cell has a job. This one's got to do a job in the blood. This one's got to do a job in the skin. This one's got to make sure that you're producing enough of this enzyme. This one's helping you to see. Now, the genes inside those cells give the instructions for that cell to operate. Now, when you have something like a hormonal disbalance, or you have an accumulation of a tumor, or you have an autoimmune degenerative condition, it is because some cell in there at the genetic level, the instruction has broken down and that cell is not performing its job. That little worker has gone to sleep. They're not doing their job properly. As I said, a lot of medicine is about going at the very roof and kind of patching out the symptoms. But down at this level, if we were only able to switch on genetic expression and restore it to what it was intended to be for that cell, that would be able to repair, to cause cellular regeneration and cellular repair at the very core. So the hypothesis for this study was, does ASEA affect genetic expression? That was what they wanted to check out. They put 60 participants into 3 groups. You can have a look at what they are. And they each took this for an 8-week period. Blood was drawn out and genetic expression levels were tested in a very advanced process. Let's just keep going with that. The results were that in every single person, okay, so this is what I'm saying. This is why, for me, the light went on. I thought that's why I see everybody doing well on this. And every single person that was on the ASEA product, they experienced an improvement of 20 to 31 beneficial change, so switching on of genes in 5 key pathways. What this meant was that, let me show you right here, these 5 key pathways were activated. Now have a look at what they are. Taking a ASEA product has an effect somewhere between 20 to 31% in as little as 6 or 8 weeks it was, of activating and switching on your natural immune system, your vascular health maintenance and elasticity, reducing the risk of heart disease. Potential digestive health benefits because it increases your enzyme production and it limits indigestion. I've seen some great results with people with gastric problems. Hormone pathway activation, inflammation and enhanced immune tolerance. Now that inflammation is behind so many conditions, all the conditions that end with itis. It's basically some kind of inflammation in the body. So for me, when I look at that and I think I can take one supplement that's going to switch on all those sleepy genes in my body, for me, that's probably the best thing that I could, if I could make one health decision for myself this year, I would choose to switch on all those sleepy genes. Now, the interesting thing is that, for example, here is EGR1. That's one of the genes that's switched on. But it doesn't stop at that one gene genetic activation. These are pathway signaling genes. So that from that one gene being switched on, there is a ripple effect and there is a whole lot of other genes that are activated. So that's why these are healing pathways. And you can have a look. Pathway number 3 over here is this circadian rhythm related genes that are switched on. And that, to me, when I look at this explains what I've been seeing for now a year and a half. When I see people start taking the product and they go, my gosh, I'm sleeping so well. When I look across this table and the other tables, the results that I've seen with my own eyes make sense. So these results have allowed now ASEA to effectively label the body, the body of the bottle with the following information, saying that this is a cell signaling supplement. It contains active redox molecules. That's obviously certified by Bioagilitics. It improves the immune system and all those other things that we talked about. So it's a very exciting supplement. Let me quickly then tell you who can benefit from these redox signaling molecules. You've had a look at what we've just covered. All the amazing activation across your body, all the accelerated healing and repair, all that regression back to the optimum performance of your body when you were a teenager and you had really high levels of redox signaling and you felt strong and you were able to heal quickly. Obviously, it's going to impact anybody looking for health and wellness. The sports and athletics industry, so many athletes are coming on board. I find it really interesting that ASEA does not seek out athletes for sponsorship, for endorsement. Athletes seek out ASEA. They fall in love with this product because it's natural. It can't be made illegal because it's not a drug. It doesn't even fit into any category. It's already in your body. So if they tested you and you hadn't taken it, it's already in your body. So, but the results across athletic performance are really exciting. I'll show you in a moment. And of course, huge applications across the beauty and skincare industry. I've been in skincare industry before and I've never seen something quite so potent. I'm going to show you some pictures in a second. So here we go. Let's talk about skin. This contains only 4 ingredients, and those 4 ingredients are very safe. They've been given the 5-star rating for safety. All they are is the gel that holds the molecules together and allows you to put them on your skin. But the active ingredient in there, of course, is the redox signaling molecule. And these pictures are 28 days apart. As I said, I've never seen anything work like this and be a natural product on top of that. It's interesting, a lot of skincare, the way it works is it inflames your cells. And so they plump up and you go, oh my gosh, my wrinkles are gone. But you've actually just filled your cells with toxins. With Renew 28, you're filling your cells with redox that they desperately need and that you had in high levels in your youth. Because of what's in it is already native and natural, as you already know, it's completely safe. Here are some of the numbers that we've gotten back from independent testing. 16% skin cell renewal, so that turnover is going to speed up. The 23% smoothness, 23% improvement on wrinkles, 20% improvement on elasticity, and blood flow. In fact, in this test it was 4 days, but I've seen when there's a frequent application, it can be as quickly as 15 minutes, a rapid increase in blood flow to the area. So have a look at those pictures and just play a little bit of spot the difference. Again, these are pictures that are just regular people. I know some of these ladies here, and these are 28 days apart. It obviously is going to be effective on wrinkles, on scarring, on discoloration, on markings. I had an awesome picture of a lady with a birthmark on her neck that's, you know, been a sore for her for a long time. And it literally it was about 7 days, there's barely a trace of this quite aggressive red birthmark on her face. I have to add that picture to the panel there. So here we go. I'll just quickly scan through this, but you can see that the results are pretty potent and very visible. And again, you're using something that's natural and that is benefiting all over your body. So you can see here is a 28-day results of cellulite or wrinkling on the skin. It's not really quite cellulite, is it? You can see just some big significant changes in wrinkles and small marks and deep wrinkles as well. This one, she would absolutely kill me if she knew, but this is actually my mum. And I gave her the gel after some protest. She said, I don't know if it'll work on me. I said, let's take a picture before. This was 15 days later. And she came back in and said, I don't think it's working. So I said, let's take the picture again. And it's just, for me, it was actually quite shocking, and it was for her as well. We took the picture about 6 times to make sure that it wasn't the lighting or this or that. Big difference in the skin color itself. There's spots that you can see are actually gone, faded, just removed. The wrinkles, she left with a second bottle of the product. Here's somebody in Europe, actually. This is a doctor in Europe that did a test on half of his face. So this is Renew on the left side, and you can see the difference that's made. And then he used nothing on the right-hand side. Again, 28 days, that's a pretty significant change. So it's an all-over body product. So this gel has become my best friend in my home. So if you know anything about young children, if you have them in your home, with 4 boys, I'm always dealing with someone's got a cut or a bruise or a rash or a sore neck, or someone got kicked or whatever. And this gel has become my absolute everything. We haven't been sick in the last year that we've had this product in our home. I haven't had to go back and get another round of prescription for antibiotics, for ear infections, and all the stuff that we used to deal with every year. I'm able to treat my family with Redox. So here is a little bit, so that's the beauty side. Here's a little bit for athletes. Sometimes we usually have someone who's into CrossFit, or somebody who's really into their endurance and their fitness, and you don't have to be a world-class athlete, but to want to experience some of these benefits. But there have been some really exciting figures recorded on endurance, on strength, on recovery, on mental stamina. The numbers on endurance were up to 30% immediate improvement. And as I said, it's totally natural. These people, if you want to look into ASEA athletes, you can go and have a look at some of the videos of these guys endorsing this product just wholeheartedly. So as I start to wrap up here, I did ask myself, my gosh, I remember sort of coming across this information and diving in and going, why isn't everybody talking about it? And, you know, what I started to realize is that there are a lot of people actually talking about it, and not just people at home, but people talking about this from stages. Anne-Louise Gittleman, New York Times bestselling author of more than 30 books, considered the first lady of nutrition. I heard her speak live, and she goes into some of the exciting stuff that happens when you take Redox in your body, how it activates antioxidants, and it was an incredible talk. And she believes that this could be the greatest advance in lifestyle medicine, which harnesses the power of our own body to keep us well. And here is Dr. Gary Samuelson, the atomic medical physicist who stabilized the molecules. And he said this technology has the potential to spearhead the greatest advances in health we have ever seen. It's interesting because he was the guest speaker at last year's World Autism Conference. They are seeing some incredible changes across a lot of these conditions that we don't understand, that, you know, so to this point, we've just kind of thought about managing and making people be able to cope better. But we've kind of put aside the notion that some of these conditions could be cured. But of course, you know, people had put aside the notion, you know, before the internet was around, before phones were around, breakthroughs are about tearing down assumptions and tearing down paradigms. I do believe that this is going to change the way we approach medicine and medical treatment. So just to sum things up a little bit here, what is it? It is a redox product, which is cell signaling molecules. What it does, it tells our cells what to do. So it restores the proper function of your cells. You couldn't get any more basic to the core issue than that. It turns on genes. Why you need it, even if you're super healthy, our cells are breaking down, and we're all part of this this kind of same condition, which is aging. So all our cells are breaking down, and the genetic expression is being affected by stress and all the other things, the toxic world we live in, we discussed. So this cell signaling supplement can allow you to take on and lift your levels of redox and be able to tackle this cellular breakdown in a better way. I'm going to spend a couple of moments on the genesis, on how this came about, why it's me that's telling you about this tonight, because I know that there's a couple of people on this call that have asked me that question already, and I think it's really important for you to know how this has come about, why you're hearing it from basically a civilian like myself. The Tyler Norton are the founders of the company. They came across the technology as it was being developed, but what they found is that they needed more funding. They raised the funds, they got Dr. Gary Samuelson on board, and they were able to stabilize the molecules. They then decided to take the findings to a couple of big pharmaceuticals, and one of the bigger ones made a significant sort of generational money kind of offer, but it came with a condition. At that point, there were a lot of people already on medical trials using the molecules. And Virtus was said to have had a conversation with the pharmaceutical companies as a condition of the sale, said you need to remove all those people off those trials. Now, some of those people had terminal conditions. Some of them were very, very sick, and the product was making a big difference. And Virtus said, well, that's really not going to fly. This has already started to spread by word of mouth through many different countries. Can we keep these people on? It was absolutely put to him as a choice. And without being all conspiracy theory about it, the reality is that it's not a product that a pharmaceutical company would have an interest in putting to market, to be honest, because it makes every other product, their large booming business, kind of negligent. If you have a product that allows your body to heal itself without the use of drugs, it's not in their interest to release it. So Virtus and Tyler, were previous to this company behind some Fortune 500 companies. He was a key strategist for Kraft Food for many years. So he's looked at what was available, and he saw that the product was already spreading quickly by word of mouth. And so he decided that this was already an avenue that was working really well for redox. He didn't want the technology to be potentially hidden or to be re-released in 10 years by the pharmaceutical companies at costs that would be prohibitive. And he decided that he would create a business model whereby this could be shared by word of mouth. So that's what's happened in the last 7 years. They launched, they were profitable straight away. There's been, this is growing, 26 countries and expanding. We're going into new markets currently. And I mention this because when you start thinking as a business person, which I am, I started thinking, wow, holy cow, there's a product here which nobody has, everybody needs, and everybody's going to want, and nobody can get anywhere else. That sounds like a pretty great business proposition. I wanted to know who was behind it. There's a really solid scientific council and medical professional board. And very quickly, I started to get really comfortable with the amount of scientific validation. And for me personally, this market shift has represented an opportunity. And I am, as quickly as I possibly can, attempting to shut down and transition out of my existing business because of these key points. we've got on our hands a new category creator. I'm really excited when I work with people and I see the change that this brings. It's heavily patented, so I know, I've had so many approaches by people to get involved with something that maybe it's a great juice, but I just think those markets are so saturated. This is something, and anybody can make a great juice. This is something that nobody else can make. As I said, it's a real thrill to see life-changing benefits. And at the beginning, I'd get shocked and emotional when I used to see some of the changes I've seen in people. Now nothing surprises me. And I have hope for most people with serious conditions. I know this can make a difference. It is all validated by science. So, sometimes you get some really hard questions, and I love those. And I'm really excited that I can put the scientific validation in front of people to give them that reassurance. Stable company management. And it's a rapidly growing industry. I wanted to be involved with something that was going to be, leading me into the future, not a business that was going to be winding down, because that obviously then gives us the opportunities to make some significant incomes from bringing these products to market. So who is it for? As I said at the beginning, you might be here because you have a health problem, and you're healthy, but you want to invest in your future health. Or like me, you've stumbled across this tonight because you've been researching. I've been contacted by people who have said, my father's got XYZ and everything keeps pointing me back to Redox. You may be trying to help somebody with a problem. You could be an athlete or somebody who's super fit and just wanting to feel more endurance. You want to improve the way you look, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or as I've just mentioned in the last few minutes, you could be wanting to become part of the team to help us bring that to market. And as we start opening new countries into Asia, we really do need more people on the team to assist us, or you want to make a difference. This is my second last slide. If you're itching there to ask any questions, I'm going to open it up in a moment. But I just want to bring it all home because we've had a lot of information, and I know I've been rushing through it, but I do just want to give as much to you as I can. But I want to sum it up here and say, what is in this bottle? What does it do? So these are statements that we have now got scientific validation for in the form of independent lab testing. As I said, taking this product will enhance your cellular communication across 5 key genetic pathways: immune system, inflammatory response, cardiovascular health. It's going to modulate your hormonal balance, improve your enzyme production and gut health. It's going to increase your cell turnover by around 18%, increase blood flow to the area by as quickly as 15 minutes of repeated application. So, if somebody's hurt, my dad, for example, broke his back, and he found that the blood flow increased to the area, released his pain faster than codeine. So, and he was applying it sort of 3 times in 5 minutes. And you do that if you've got an area of pain. This is an experiential product. Get hold of some of that gel, and you'll see some drastic improvements to your pain. It increases your body's own natural productions of antioxidants by up to 800%. It mobilizes free fatty acids, so you're able to increase your athletic endurance by around 30%. So anybody that's into their long distance training, swimming, running, cycling, triathletes, we get a lot of that using. I see it successfully. It increases the efficiency and utilization of those free fatty acids, so it opens up more sources of energy. So people do experience more energy, more mental clarity, reduces inflammation and reduces pain naturally. I covered that. Decreases oxidative stress and helps in tissue reconstruction. I have got some great experiences that we've had with that. So if you have a quick look at that, for me, as at the beginning of the year, I was writing all these health goals, and here's a way to really tick off a whole lot of things that I would like to happen in my body. I thought, when I put this list together, I thought this is by far the most potent health supplement that I can have, that I can take. That is also got no toxicity to it. That also has no nasty side effects. And being able to create all these things in my body, what kind of on-flow, what kind of domino effect could that have in my health in the years to come? I do encourage you to go and do some research, But as I say all the time, Google is not a research engine, just a search engine. So make sure that whatever you're looking at has been validated by fact. Anybody can say anything. I shared last week that I found a website that there's a group that are claiming that the world being round is a conspiracy and that it's actually still flat. So it doesn't take a genius to say whatever. Check your facts properly and make sure that it's not just anecdotal evidence, either positive or negative. Get into the science a little bit because that's the responsibility we should all have towards our health. So that's a nice little quote from Virtus to finish on. I've met this man. I know that his mission really has been to leave a legacy. I do believe that he's brought something to market that has the potential to change many lives. I've already seen many people, many families truly grateful and whose health and some really awful health challenges transformed. So that brings me to the end of the formal part of the presentation. You are welcome to email me directly and I will put you in touch with the right person to help you. I'll put my email down on the chat there. There's usually probably somebody that has sent you this link, but if you don't have anybody, I will help redirect you to the right person. You're welcome to send me individual questions to that email. The way to access the product is really simple. It comes straight from the manufacturing company in the USA, and all you need is your own account, which is $40 US to give you basically access to your own website, back office, and you can order it. You get wholesale pricing for that. You can access it without the membership, but you pay a whole lot more for the product. So it makes sense to open up your own account, and you don't really need to even leave the house or deal with anybody. It arrives straight to your doorstep. And it can start having a huge impact. So if you are wanting to do that, you just kind of got to identify yourself and somebody will be able to set that up for you. So thank you for joining. I'll turn off the recording, and if you have any questions, I'm really happy to answer them.